The Phillies drop a frustrating series opening loss to the Marlins, getting shut out. And with 43 games left in the regular season, can they figure this out? Rob Thomson and the Phillies have a lot of work to do. We're talking about it here on PHLY Phillies Podcast, coming up soon. It's time for Rob Thomson and the Phillies to shake some things up in the Phillies lineup. They have now dropped 17 games in the last 24. Forget being the top team in baseball. They're no longer even the top team in the NL as the Dodgers have passed them. Welcome into the PHLY Philly Show presented by Bet365. You can download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Frustrating times here. We've got Tyler Zulli, Jamie Lynch, myself, Renee Washington. Jim Salsbury will be joining us halfway through the show at 11:30. We're going to get into recapping last night's loss. The series started off on a really bad foot. And then, of course, as we break down individual players and start looking ahead to Game 2 tonight, plenty to talk through about what the Phillies need to do. I know in the chat you guys are sharing it's even worse now that you slept on it. Frank was first in the chat. Even worse now that you've had a chance to sleep on it. I know we got a thumbs down. I'm going to assume that's the Phillies and not because of us. But Matt Deckard, Ray, K. Red, Frank, everybody in the chat, happy Wednesday. Wish we were talking through some better times, guys. But here we are. The Phillies with 43 games left in the regular season. The countdown is on. Time is ticking. And last night, we heard fans booing at Citizens Bank Park. We saw the team really struggle. The top five through the lineup had one hit combined through the entire game and a shutout loss to the Marlins. It feels like everything that can go wrong is going wrong. And what makes it worse is in the past, we've been able to point to injuries. And yes, Ranger Suarez's return is should be big. But we've been able to point to very specific things in a timetable of when they can work out of a rut. But the Phillies are in a rut right now that feels like there's no solution and no timeline for when they're possibly going to get out of it. And I woke up this morning, much like Frank, and was kind of like, well, the sun is up, but it doesn't feel any different. It's a new day, but it doesn't feel any new or different in terms of my feelings for the Phillies. I'm supposed to be going to the game tonight, and I'm kind of like, I don't even want to go.
I'm supposed to go on Friday night, and my excitement level is
so down.
Non-existent. Rich Hoffman in our daily newsletter said he was there last night. I believe he tracked the boos starting after the 11th pitch and really intensifying after the 14th pitch last night. I believe it was Kristen in our Discord said she was there in good seats last night, and the hope was there amongst the fans in the beginning of the game. Like, they were trying to get into it. They were trying to give the guys their support. And then, like, I think she said one of the pop outs, like the sixth or seventh pop out of the game, just completely sucked the air out of the stadium, and people were bad. So the vibes are very stinky in Citizens Bank Park right now. And I don't know who's going to be the person that fixes it, but I do know that Rob Thomson needs to make some lineup changes. You know, I've been fairly calm this whole time, but now I think, like we talked about last night, it's beyond the point of letting these guys play out of it. There's too many guys struggling right now. When you look at Brandon Marsh, Bryson Stott, basically Trey Turner is in a free fall.
Who?
Trey Turner, the $300 million man.
Who is Trey? I don't know Trey Turner. I don't know that man.
Well,
what does he look like?
Wildly inconsistent player. We've now known him for almost 2 full seasons, and there have been month to 2 month periods where he looks like a well below average Major League Baseball player. Then there are 2 to 3 month periods where he looks like the MVP of the league. There doesn't appear to be much middle ground with him. Is he going to pull out of it? Yes, I believe he is going to pull out of it.
Yeah.
Right now, it's killing this team, and his OPS has dropped, I think, like 116 points since 1 month ago, where he was a legit MVP candidate.
Yep.
He's just wildly inconsistent, and we're in one of those major downturns, and it frankly it kills this team.
Well, as you talk about, we all know what July Trey Turner brought with his 10 home runs, and we'll start there because there's so many directions we can start the show in discussing pitching, bullpen, starting pitching, bullpen, positional players. But it's a good spot to start because this has been the big consistency that we've seen from this team. And let's be honest, guys, at the start of this season, when the Phillies were still winning, we remember April especially, it was the starting pitching that was helping them win games. They were averaging less than 4 runs per game through the first part of the season until I think it was, I can't remember the exact series in May that they broke through. And from there, the offense was clicking and actually scoring a lot of runs, and they turned a corner. But this offense as a whole has been very up and down this season. Started off slow, were fantastic through like May, June, late May, I would say, I believe it was June, and then early July until the All-Star break. And Trey Turner is a big part of that. I think it was actually around his injury that the offense got going because we saw Edmundo come in and be a big part. Edmundo Sosa was a huge part.
I hope we see Edmundo tonight.
We saw Cody Clemens. We saw with the replacement of Trey Turner and then JT got hurt. We saw the offense start to come alive. Brandon Marsh was hurt for a little while. But if you look back at where we were this season, it's no coincidence that the offense really got going when you had Brandon Marsh was out with a little bit of a hamstring injury. Trey Turner missed for a while. And now we have Trey, who had 10 home runs in the month of July. July was great. He was looking like an MVP out there. We thought he was going to be player of the month. Had in his 96 at-bats, 23 RBIs, 5 walks, and his splits were 292, 340, 604 with a 944 OPS. In August, in his 47 at-bats so far to date, it is only August 14th, so not officially halfway through the month. In August so far, this man has 3 runs, 8 total hits. 8 total hits in the month of August. He had 10 home runs in the month of July. 8 total hits. He's got 2 doubles, 0 triples, 0 home runs, 2 RBIs, 1 walk, and he has a 170, 188, 213 split with a 400 OPS. It gets even worse, actually, as you look at the last 7 days.
Oh, fun.
That he's been even just awful. So for Trey Turner, who has been one of when we talk about the guys that this team needs to win, forget the World Series at this point, to win games, to win the NL East, it's Bryce Harper, it's Trey Turner, it's Kyle Schwarber. And Trey Turner has been extremely frustrating to watch because also, as we know, not only did we see the slow start in the start of this season for him in the offense, we saw this last year. We saw until August 4th with the standing ovation that Trey Turner was not good. So it makes me wonder, is this the real Trey Turner? You know, I
don't think so.
I don't know why he hasn't, and I think he's got the talent. I just don't know why he hasn't been able to bring it in a Phillies uniform consistently.
It's a great question. I mean, maybe it was there with the Dodgers and Nationals all the time, and we weren't watching it nightly. But I would find that hard to believe. Maybe I'll go back and nerd deep dive his August April through August splits while he was with the other teams, but it does feel like he's carrying it into the field with them. Rob Thomson talked about him in the dugout yesterday or after the game and said he's healthy. We're going to get that one out of the way. He is probably playing a little cautiously on his hamstring. Doesn't fully trust it yet, but he is healthy. He's like, so that's not an issue. I mean, when you have to start wondering, you know, I know people in the chat last night were saying, well, Brandon Marsh is still hurt. Okay, then why is he playing?
Correct.
Correct. And Trey Turner, I don't believe is hurt. I think he's getting pitched low and away sliders. Matt Gelb in his story today, I actually shared it in our Phillies Discord channel. The book has been out on him for about 6 weeks now. His swing percentage out of the zone is climbing at an exponential rate, and the amount of sliders low and away outside of the zone that teams are throwing him is increasing dramatically. So they are just, he's lost. He's not catching up to the fastball because he's diving low and outside on sliders. The percentage of sliders teams are throwing them has jumped. Let me just get this correct.
This is Trey?
This is Trey. The amount of sliders he's seen has gone over the last 15 or so games from around 27, 28% almost north of 45% right now. So teams are challenging him with low and outside sliders. He can't lay off them, much like Castellanos couldn't in the beginning of the year. Rob Thomson said it, and this is where you got to look to Trey and Kevin Long to get out of this. He needs to lay off, non-strikes. He has to make the pitcher come in the zone. He has to draw walks. I think the most positive thing Trey Turner could do right now is take a couple walks and start getting the ball forced to him in the zone a little bit more, because you can't keep chasing at this rate and expect positive results. Our buddy John Stolnis threw out some splits on Trey that are just like eye-poppingly bad. I see Tyler just wrote up some splits on the screen as well. I mean, Trey he's floundering up there right now. He's got to lay off the sliders, and that's on Trey. I mean, Kevin Long is probably telling him this. You know what I mean?
Trey has been the guy and we heard him talking about how much of a coach and leader he is for others. He's helped a Yoro. He's helped other guys get their swing going. And we heard that story earlier this season that when he was injured, was like this coach personality that was able to help guys get hits and make plays, but he can't do it himself. And I know, Tyler, you've got his month-by-month career splits.
Apparently he didn't do it consistently like this in other markets.
No, I mean,
that's very Philadelphian of us.
Offensively, his numbers have been great for his entirety of his career. So in March/April, because a very small sample size in March
is fake baseball.
He's a career 299 hitter. He's also a career 299 hitter in the month of June. He's a 317 hitter in the month of August, 286 in the month of July. His worst month throughout his career is May. He's a 266 hitter. This is an unparalleled slump.
So Philadelphia
for Trey Turner currently, especially considering how well he was hitting post-injury when he came off the injured list. You guys were talking about it. He was kind of the buoy of this team. It was him and Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber, and it was kind of a rotating cast, and that's how it should be throughout the course of a 162 game season. But the nosedive that Trey Turner has taken over the last 4 weeks now. I don't know if it needs to be studied. I don't know if we need to take the numbers and put them in a lab. I don't know where this has come from, but the plate discipline is gone. As you guys talked about, the diving out over the plate at breaking balls is off the charts. His numbers are good. I mean, it makes sense. He's a good hitter throughout his career. His numbers are awesome. Basically the entirety of of his career. But August has been statistically his best month.
Well, that's good because he's batting 170 this month for the Phillies. So I'm glad that August has historically been his best month. We got the worst of it. Yay, Phillies.
He always is. So basically what your numbers are showing is he's got a rocky start in the early parts of the season and then usually is much better by August. So last year, August ovation maybe it wasn't as big of a deal as we thought it was. That's just how he's notoriously been in August. But we'll still give the credit.
Matt Deckard in the comments section making me laugh. Where is John Hamm? I need a word. I also, do you remember the John Hamm marketing video that Trey Turner, when he became a free agent?
Yeah.
John Hamm, you bastard. You sold us a bag of goods. So nice.
And of course, naturally, as Lisa's saying, it does feel a little bit like a Philly curse.
It does.
August is usually his best month until now.
So,
until now.
Trey Turner, over the course of his career, has 5 months of August, 5 individual seasons in August, of which he played 25 or more games because he had one August where he only played 3 and hit 364. But 5 different seasons in which he's played 25 or more games in the month of August, and on top of that, hit over 300 in those seasons. 357. 324. In August of 2020, he hit 408. In 2021, he hit 319. In 2023, last year, post-ovation, he hit 333. And in 2022, he just missed 300. He hit 298 over the course of that August.
So this is his worst August.
This is definitively his. The only other August that is worst average-wise is his rookie year where he had 9 at-bats and went 0 for 9 in 2015. But every other year in which he had 25 or more games played, or I should say 23 or more games played is what the numbers come out to be, he's a career 317 hitter in the month of August.
So basically, we are literally getting the worst Trey Turner in August ever. And I'm going to say even back to him being a rookie. So that's where we are right now.
When he was a player to be named later in a trade.
Correct. When he was a player to be named later, that was the only time he was this bad. So he somehow regressed back to player to be named later, rookie Trey Turner. That is where we are as a fan base. That is where Trey Turner is. That is where Mr. Looked like an MVP in July is at currently. And that's so on brand for the Phillies because unfortunately we have seen them consistently progressing, getting worse, consistently progressing, letting us down. And every time we're looking for that, small change that's going to help, that one player, that one play, that one moment that's going to help get the confidence going. No, it doesn't happen. And they need a game changer. And you guys need a game-changing product that you can use too. Now, this is a great product. It's our new sponsor that we're working with, Z-Biotics. Have you heard of Z-Biotics, guys? Well, let me tell you about them. Z-Biotics is a game-changing product because you can use it before a night out with drinks or before you're going to hang with your friends. It is a Z-Biotics pre-alcohol product for you that allows you to make sure you not only feel great that night, but feel great the next day. So with Z-Biotics, they have so many benefits that you can take advantage of so that you can make sure with pre-alcohol, it's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It also was invented by scientists who had plenty of time to test it. I need to test this myself to tackle rough mornings after a night of drinking. So here's how it works. When you drink, the alcohol, of course, we know doesn't sit well. The next day you feel like crap. Well, with Z-Biotics, their pre-alcohol actually produces enzymes to break down alcohol so you can drink, have fun, and feel great the next day. It's healthy, it's good for you, and it's the first drink of your night. So you start your night off with some Z-Biotics, you're drinking responsibly, and you feel your best the next day. And I think right now we all need some Z-Biotics because we're going to need lots of drinks tonight, tomorrow night, the next night, and maybe for the next 43 games as the Phillies are closing out this season. So whether you're heading to a wedding, going on vacation, going out for a birthday, maybe it's a reunion that you're going to, there's a lot that's going on, especially as we're transitioning into already the fall. The fall brings a lot of like pumpkin spice drinks and fun outdoor activities. And you want to get the most, not only out of the close of your summer plans, but getting into the fall as well. So stock up on your pre-alcohol now. That way you can drink responsibly. And you can head on over to zbiotics.com/PHLY Phillies. Again, that's zbiotics.com/PHLY Phillies. Get 15% off your first order when you use that code at checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason with their products, they'll actually refund you your money. No questions asked. And remember to head to zbiotics.com/PHLY Phillies and use that code PHLY Phillies at checkout for that 15% off. And thank you to Z-Biotics for sponsoring this show and giving us all a great time because we're going to need lots of alcohol very quickly with the Phillies. And you guys, we all need to be healthy when we're drinking.
Yeah, and I got a weekend ahead of going to the, summer is winding down, as Renee just alluded to, and we're trying to cram in a couple Phillies games before the end of the year with the family and the girls. And of course, there's no better time to get those tickets than with the Game Time app. You can download the app right now. Use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. I've used Game Time several times for a couple concerts. My favorite part of it is the seat view. When I was out at Wrigley Field in the beginning of July, pulled up the seat view, the image of our seats, because in those old stadiums, sometimes there's obstructed views. Going to the game Friday night, we're sitting in kind of the lower level right field corner. We wanted to know, is there anything obstructing our view? Is that foul pole going to be in our way? Is this going to? So it's good to just get a look, know exactly where you're going to seat. And Game Time is the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets easier and faster than ever. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So take the guesswork out and just buy MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, just create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, just create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
All right. Well, as we're talking through here on PHY Phillies presented by Bet365, not a good time for the Phillies. I know in the chat, MPTR is asking about tonight's lineup. We will preview a little bit more specifically about tonight. We don't have the official lineup yet. We just have the starting pitching matchup for Edward Cabrera and Tyler Phillips, and we'll get into their numbers as we progress forward into the show. Because first we have to continue looking back on last night. It was a lot more frustration around the Phillies beyond just Trey Turner. As we know, one hit, just one in the entire game for the top five of the lineup, which is not good at all. And as much as we talk about Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott, it's not just them. And I know people on Twitter were saying the same thing, like, They get a lot of heat, but it's not just them. I just don't know what feels worse. Is it the guys like a Trey Turner and a Bryce? And I actually do know what I think is worse. As much as I'm frustrated by Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott, it is to me Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, even JT Realmuto that I'm much more frustrated with. You are guys, you are veterans. You're the higher paid guys on this team. Kyle Schwarber's been doing his part. He's been saying all the right things. I loved his post-game comments. He was talking about how, they're frustrated, but they're not worried. They want to try to make sure that they're not worried because that's the one place you don't want to be at. But they are frustrated, which is natural. And, they've done this before. They've been to this before. They've been able to work out of it. He's been around teams like this before that have struggled, and they're going to figure things out. Kyle Schwarber's been doing his part. He's been hitting well. I know they flashed a graphic during the game yesterday that for the month of August so far, he's got a .359 average, which is 8th in the NL. He's got 5 home runs, which is was 3rd in the NL. 11 RBIs, which was top in the NL as well, and his OPS, which was a 1.279, as well as 8 walks. He's been drawing walks. He's been doing a good job with his at-bats of giving you something. He actually has been leading the NL in walks. So I know as much as we've talked about should Kyle Schwarber be at the leadoff or not in the past months, he's showing he's one of the guys you can count on to be consistent to start the game off. It's after that where we're seeing the drop-off. It's Bryce, it's Trey, it's JT. Alec Bowman's been consistent. So what we really have is every 2 or 3 batters, you get consistency. It's Kyle, then it's bad for a couple batters until you get to Alec. Then it's bad for a couple batters until you get to Nick. Then it's bad for 1 or 2 until you get to Yoro. They're so sporadic and few and far between. And so I'm most mad at the fact that Trey and Bryce haven't been giving us more. JT still looks hurt. He doesn't look 100% since coming back from his knee procedure and off the IL. His numbers, 11 for 57 with just 3 extra base hits since coming off the IL, which is a .193 for JT Realmuto, someone who has been one of the best offensive pieces for this team to start pre-injury. It's just a lot of issues. A lot of issues.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some conversation about the trade deadline and revisiting that. Did they do enough? And should they have made moves? The bottom line is the trade deadline wasn't going to win you the World Series. What's going to possibly win you the World Series is JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola.
You need them.
Your guys you invested all your financial capital in. They have to come through for you, or no addition or subtraction at the trade deadline was going to get this team over the hurdles that are in front of them. Do I believe most of those guys are going to come out of it? I do, because Rob said it again yesterday prior to the game. Or maybe it was after the game. He said, the back of the baseball card. He's like, I know I keep saying it, but I believe these guys are going to pull out of it. So when it comes to those caliber of players, I do think they're going to pull out of it. Is our patience absolutely being tested here? Yes. The reason I talk about Stott and Marsh so much right now is because I don't believe they're going to pull out of it, at least for this season. I'm not making any rulings on their career here. I just think they're frazzled right now. And you can give me Stott hitting 2 balls hard last night all you want. Him being in the 5-hole to me is criminal. I think tonight and look, I know it's a righty on the mound.
Yeah.
So, you're probably going to see Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott again. I don't give a damn about righty-lefty matchups right now. I need somebody that's going to give me a competitive at-bat in the middle of the order, and I would much rather take my chances right now with Edmundo Sosa and Weston Wilson until Austin Hayes gets back. I think something has to be done. I read Matt Gelb's Athletic article about the lineup. Kyle Schwarber says that's not what is needed to jolt them back to who they are. But it's too late. You're just lucky that the rest of the NL East can't take advantage of this. You're lucky a lot of other teams around baseball are bad right now, or you would have plummeted worse in the standings. You can't wait any longer. You have to do something. I'm really kind of curious and anxious to see what tonight's lineup card is, because if I see Stott and Marsh in there, which I kind of expect, I'm probably going to be pissed off going into the game. And the Phillies are somehow a favorite tonight. Tyler Phillips on the mound, a pathetic $13 million Marlins team in front of you. If you go down tonight, I mean, that's just awful.
It's very bad. It's very bad.
So he's got to do something tonight. He can't he can't trot out the same lineup again. You just can't.
Yeah, I know Todd Zulli and some other outlets have gotten the vibe that Rob Thomson is hinting at a change at second base for Edmundo Sosa. Sosa's numbers obviously significantly better than what we've been seeing from Bryson Stott. You've got Sosa, who's slashing 276, 329, 459 with a 788 OPS, 6 homers, 10 doubles, 4 triples, and 26 RBIs in 166 less at-bats than Bryson Stott this season. That's the key. In less at-bats, he's given you much more. Bryson Stott, on the other hand, all of his numbers are down from last year. He's got a 235, 312, 345 splits with a .67 OPS, or excuse me, .657 OPS. And against left-handed pitchers, batting just a 229 with a .622 OPS. He's been really bad. Just 3 extra base hits against left-handed pitchers. Again, Edmundo Sosa has had less opportunity and done much more with it. And not to mention, there's not a big difference at all in terms of fielding. It's not like you're getting this exceptional second
Trey
base play.
Turner's awful in the field right now.
Yeah, like
that play he botched last night.
Oh yeah,
that's a play that major league shortstops should be able to make blindfolded with an arm tied behind their back.
Yep.
Like he could have punted that thing over. That's how routine of a play that was.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
That's the issue between you have the errors that Trey Turner's making and his bad at bats. Over, and you've got Bryson Stott, who's a solid second baseman, but it doesn't matter because you can get that second base play from Sosa and actually get some offensive production. So Sosa, on the other hand, who has had 13 extra base hits against left-handed pitchers compared to Stott's 3, and a 287 batting average compared to Stott's numbers of a 229, and then also a .871 OPS compared to Stott's .622 OPS. It's time to move Edmundo Sosa into second base, and I'm excited to hear and interested to hear what our buddy Jim Salsbury has to say about all this when he joins us momentarily, because this is the conversation now. What can the Phillies actually do to make changes ASAP? You know, we've been talking about this day in and day out. It's time for them to make something different, move something around, and make some changes, because you got to plan. And you know where you guys can plan for the perfect opportunities for those after-work get-togethers, some fun, to get a break from all the stress that is right now the Phillies, and make sure you're getting out, whether it's girls' night out, guys' night out, date night, whatever it may be, to be able to have some fun. That's with our friends over at Bet Parks Casino. Bet Parks Casino has some great deals for you, some deals that are steals, because you can sip on some delicious drinks and enjoy the warm weather with $5 drafts of their various draft beers like the Victory Seasonal, the Parks Pills. They've got $5 glasses of Cabernet. They also have $5 twisted teas, which are frozen whiskey Arnold Palmer's, delicious. And then also, to go with that delicious drink, you've got some good food choices as well. $5 small plates of braised short rib sliders, hot honey chicken sliders, rotisserie chicken flatbreads that you can feast on. An epic $5 happy hour that is happening now at Bet Parks that you can take advantage of. In addition to eating and drinking well, they've got 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 live table games, lots of fun in their beautiful poker room, and their collection of award-winning restaurants as well. So with our friends over at Bet Parks, they have tons of events. We saw earlier this summer, Joe Conklin's comedy night. They also have Tiffany Haddish coming up in September that you can go see the funny Tiffany Haddish on September 27th. I love a little Tiffany Haddish. She gives you ratchet. She gives you funny. It's everything. And you can get all those tickets for the shows at parkscasino.com. So visit parkscasino.com. You've got to be 21 or older, of course. If you do have a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER. And with Parks Casino, this is how you win. Great deals, great vibes, great fun. And some of us might need some of that right now, especially with the state of the Phillies.
Yeah, fun would be. I like fun baseball. I'd like to get back to that. But you know what else is fun? That's our friends over at FOCO. And again, just use that code PHLY. You've seen FOCO slowly taking over the sports world here with the overalls, tons of great bobbleheads, and just a lot of fun stuff when it comes to sports. A Fanatic hat. We got my girls from FOCO. They got a lot of great, cool stuff. And they're a leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items, and more, with the best officially licensed gear for all sports and fandoms. And if you're getting ready for football, basketball, or hockey game, you can show off your love for the team with their branded friendship bracelets. I'm actually wearing a FOCO Phillies friendship bracelet from last Red October that me and my daughter swapped back and forth with each other. FOCO has hooked up PHLY here with tons of great items for our set and our offices, and FOCO always has our back for Philly sports, and they got yours too. Get the best gear around by using the link in our description. For all non-presale items, use the promo code PHLY10 for 10% off.
All right. Well, as we're working through trying to process all the madness that is currently going on with the Phillies here on PHY Phillies presented by Bet365, it's been frustrating times when you think about how the Phillies have looked, the bullpen, starting pitching, positional players, errors, bad with runners in scoring position. There's a lot to try to unpack, and hopefully our buddy Jim Salsbury can try to help us navigate through because it hasn't been easy to figure out, and it definitely seems like there's more questions than answers right now with the Phillies. And Jim, hello, happy Wednesday. Let's dive right in. Looking at the Phillies, there's so many questions we could ask. I want to first jump in, though, with the guys that are the core of this team, the guys that we know if this team is to win a World Series, regardless what happened at the trade deadline, regardless of any other moves that were made, it starts with Bryce Harper, Trey Turner. We've been seeing a lot of positives from Kyle Schwarber. What are your thoughts on the play? We were just talking about Trey Turner's numbers. It's been very, very eye-opening and alarming to see. What are your thoughts on especially Bryce and Trey, their struggles as of late, and what can be done to really get them back? This team is only going to be as good as what those two can deliver.
Yeah, I agree with you. You win with stars. Those guys are stars. Turner especially has not looked like one lately. We talked about this a lot. I wrote about it a little bit on the PHLY website around the trade deadline. The idea that, whatever they did at the trade deadline, this season was still going to be determined by the players that were already here. They've spent so much resource and time the last few years accumulating star level talent, especially in the offseason with, Real Muto, Wheeler, re-signing Nola, bringing in Harper, bringing in Schwarber, Castellanos, Turner. Those are the guys you're going to need to win with, and you need more out of, I would say, all of them, even though Castellanos has been pretty good lately, the last couple months. Schwarber's been pretty consistent. You need more out of all of them. It's troubling to see the way Trey Turner has struggled, especially, when you juxtapose it against how hot he had been. Going into, the All-Star break, he was hitting 349, and, he's lost like 50 points on his batting average. You need more from him on both sides of the ball. Made an error last night. Real Muto made an error. Castellanos was slow getting the ball into the infield. They've been basically all phases of the game are failing them right now. The big one, I guess, is starting pitching. They've had injuries. They've had some inconsistency. They had a poor start from Taijuan Walker last night. Aaron Nola has lacked consistency. Ranger Suarez has been hurt. Starting pitching is what they built that big lead on. Is what everybody started buzzing about. The best team in baseball. They built it on the backs of their starting pitching. And it's just not as good as it has been, but so are all elements of the game right now. Very frustrating. Hard to believe we're even having these conversations after, early June when they took off for London. Best team in baseball, like 40-19. They're like 6 games under 500. Since then, it's like 56 games. We're talking a third of the season. They've been a mediocre to below mediocre team a third of the season, pretty much as long as they were a really good team. So very frustrating, and I don't blame people for being frustrated. They need to turn it around. I'm sorry I'm rambling on, but this is the homestand that the baseball gods sent you. Miami, Washington. The baseball gods said, hey, we know you're struggling. Go clean up on these guys. And they come out and they just absolutely lay an egg in the first game of the homestand. And we heard boos, significant amount of boos. The paying customers are not happy. Need to get this thing turned around. It's a concern.
Yeah, Jim, the exact numbers, 24 and 30 since they came back for London, which is the 6th worst in baseball. Since July 1st, they're 14 and 21, which is the 2nd worst record in baseball, and 7 and 16 since the All-Star break. also the second worst. But as Rich Hoffman points out in our morning newsletter, it actually feels like the worst. Now, Rob Thomson,
well, let me interrupt, and that's a good point by Rich Hoffman. I will say it is the worst record in the major leagues since the All-Star break, because the Chicago White Sox are not a major league team.
Sure, exactly. They are an unserious organization. But Rob kind of alluded to it. I know Matt Gelb on The Athletic wrote about it this morning. I know what I would do if I was Rob Thomson in terms of lineup changes right now, and that would be making Stott and Sosa a platoon, and I would be starting anyone but Brandon Marsh in left field. What do you expect to happen in terms of the lineup? Is that too extreme? What's realistic? What are you anticipating tonight?
Haven't we already seen Stott and Sosa become a platoon? Recently, there's been a lot of that.
I mean, I'm even thinking more than just a righty lefty.
Okay. Well, to me, that's a platoon, a righty lefty. But
yeah,
I'd like to see a little more Sosa. I mean, they talked about playing him in left field, and after that hot stretch, he had a shortstop when Turner came back, and then nothing amounted of it. He worked out a little bit out there, but I think he's athletic enough to put him out there, and I think you have a chance to get some energy and maybe some offense, because he really brings it. And you also have a chance to maybe wake some people up. Sometimes when there's somebody taking your job and nipping at your toes or nipping at your heels, it causes you to straighten up a little bit and perform better. There is such a thing as internal competition. Stott, I had a couple of glimmers of hope last night. He hit a ball really hard to the warning track early in that game, and then he worked a pretty good 3-2 at bat later, saw some pitches kind of like Stott does, and hit it hard to right field later in the game. But Marsh is really seems lost at the plate. Just the strikeouts are mounting, and I hate to lay it all at his feet. This is a guy who is on a star-studded roster. He's sort of a second tier in terms of track record and whatnot, and name recognition. So I hate to lay it all at his feet. But that might be the one area you have some flexibility, because the other guys almost have to hit their way out of it. But I would not if he decided to have Trey Turner watch a couple days, I'd be fine with that. There comes a time when sometimes you have to step aside and just, collect yourself mentally, physically, whatever. I've seen it work before. I saw Charlie Manuel sit Jimmy Rollins for a 3-game series up in Toronto one year, and it really got Jimmy going. So Rob alluded to having it last night, alluded to having a team meeting. I don't know if those work, especially with veteran teams. I think sometimes it's better off having the players just go talk by themselves in the weight room or something. But, I think these days there's such a premium placed on communication between players and manager. It's like the manager's number one job has to be his number one skill. During batting practice, he walks all over that field. He meets with every guy individually. They have their hitters meetings, their pitchers meetings before every series, and he talks to guys. He's always, walking through the clubhouse, talking to guys. I feel like you almost have a meeting every day. But I do think there are ways to get, he's not going to stand up there and pound his fist in a press conference. It's not his nature. I don't think it has a lot of impact anyway. But I think there are actions that he can take, and one of them is kind of a little shock to the system. It might be taking somebody and saying, hey, I'm not benching you, but I'm going to give you a couple days. Or it's change the lineup a little more dramatically than he messed with last night. Could be sending somebody to the minors. There's not a lot of flexibility there, but I think anything is on the table if this homestand continues to go poorly. This is the homestand that you should clean up on. It's supposed to be a big, happy homestand because, get alumni weekend at the end of the week. It's always a great time out there at the ballpark. You can't be losing to these second division teams when you're supposed to be a better team than that, when you're supposed to be one of the best teams in baseball, and you need to really turn it around. So if they're embarrassed in this homestand and the Boo Birds are out there and things are not going good, I can guarantee you it's noticed all the way upstairs. And there probably will be, an equivalent response or a justified response.
Well, you bring up some great points, Jim, that something has to change after going 6-12 against 6 teams that are playoff teams if the season were to end, to then go out and lose to the Miami Marlins, who are one of the worst teams in baseball right now, and you get shut out. So now the Phillies have dropped 4 in a row. I know earlier you mentioned starting pitching as an area that's definitely an area of concern. Ranger Suarez is in the process of working back. We saw him throw a simulated game. His timeline is looking around the Kansas series, which will be next week, that August 23rd to 25th series. He's ramping up, facing hitters again. They're building to get Ranger back. But overall, how important is it for this starting pitching to get figured out? We saw last night the return of Taijuan Walker and his struggles. Of course, we get Tyler Phillips tonight. This starting pitching, which has been carrying this team, as you mentioned and as we've all seen, has been an area of now weakness. As outside of Zach Wheeler, we haven't even seen consistency in back-to-back starts, let alone in-game. So what are your thoughts overall on the starting pitching from the return of Ranger, hopefully sooner than later, to what just needs to be fixed to get them back to that top ERA, top starting pitching core we saw, honestly, the first half of the season?
Need more consistency, more effectiveness. I mean, you can get beat on a given night by the Miami Marlins, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. I mean, some nights it's just going to happen. It's kind of this consistent malaise that has been hanging around here for 55, 56 games. It's not just that one loss last night, but what happened in that one loss is kind of reflective of the big picture. They didn't get a good start, and you could almost see the body language was poor after the first inning when Taijuan Walker walks 2, and the Miami Marlins turned them into 2 runs. That's difficult to swallow. This team, had such good starting pitching early. It has lacked consistency. It has lacked big performances. And, they really just need consistency from Nola. They need continued good work from Zach Wheeler. They need Ranger to come back healthy and dealing. And it just seems like it's taken a long time. I just wonder if it just feels like it might be more there than they're letting on. Maybe he's had a little more back issue than they're letting on. I don't know. Because they play that stuff so close to the vest. The good news is we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. He threw over the weekend off a mound in Arizona. He threw to hitters yesterday at Citizens Bank Park Tuesday. And over the weekend, they've kind of left it up in the air. He's either going to go pitch a minor league game or he's going to face hitters again in a little more intense setting at Citizens Bank Park. Could he come back 5 or 6 days later and make a start in the big leagues? It's a possibility. Rob Thomson said it's a possibility. Maybe they send him out for a rehab start after that. I don't know, but he is getting closer. When they go to, Atlanta and Kansas City next? That's going to begin like a stretch of like 13 days in a row with no off day. I do think they, at one point in that run, will employ a 6th starter. At least once. I don't think they're going to go to a 6-man rotation, but they might do it once to get people some rest. Maybe they'll do it again later on. And it would be nice if Suarez is in there and looking good because he's very important. I think something that might get this team going is just one element of the game needs to shine because all the elements of the game have, waned or disappeared. And if you can get a string of good starts, I think that can help turn things around. If you can get a string of great bullpen work, I think that can turn things around. If you can get a string of good offense, because you look at how important Turner and Real Muto are, get them going. That's going to send it's going to be contagious throughout the lineup, I believe, especially Turner. He's so infectious when he's going good offensively. He's even infectious within himself because it seems like his fielding goes away when he doesn't hit. So he needs to get his whole game together. 1 or 2 performances by an individual and 1 performances by a group unit, I think can really help this team build some momentum and some confidence. But it needs to start soon because they're going to the postseason. I'm not afraid of all-out collapse that they squander in postseason.
You're not talking 1964?
No, because we have more teams. And,
yeah.
And there's more mediocrity in the other teams. They're going to get to the postseason, but you don't want to go into the postseason with a bad taste in your mouth.
No.
You don't want to go in as the number 3 seed or worse because you were flying so high early on. They need to get the good taste back in people's mouth here, and they need to get it going soon because, like I said, if this homestand goes really south, there's going to have to be a response. I'm not sure what it is, but there's going to have to be a response. There comes a time when the manager and upper management has to rescue the team. We see it at the trade deadline. It's the front office's job to fill some holes. Well, there's other times when the front office and management at the clubhouse level has to jump in as well. So maybe the players can take care of it themselves and get it going starting tonight.
Yeah, let's hope so, Jim, because it's 13 straight games versus the Braves, the Royals, and the Astros. And the Astros are on the verge of 8 wins in a row. One of the hotter teams in baseball, about to get Verlander back as well. So that's a tough 13 straight day. Now, you brought up there one of the guys that is critical to the Phillies returning, and that's JT Realmuto. Last night, he straight up manufactured a run. When his arm is off, something is off. What do you see from JT? I know this offseason, he went into the biomechanics lab and worked on his front step and the timing and getting everything right. In the day-to-day grind of the season, when these guys like Turner and JT are struggling, I know how much work they put in. What's their day-to-day look like? How much are they working with Kevin Long on little things, mechanical things? Can you kind of give us a little insight into what goes into one of these vets trying to pull out of this?
Yeah, if either one of those guys are struggling, it's not for lack of work. These are legendary workers, guys with very significant work ethics, and they're grinding and they're trying to get it straight. He just made a bad throw last night. I'm not going to overanalyze that. He made a bad throw.
I think it's just a sign of how much he's kind of struggling in general right now.
I think it's a sign of everybody's trying to do a little too much. I think it's a sign of the Marlins out-hustled you Tuesday night. They stole those 2 bases on back-to-back pitches. I don't even know if Taijuan Walker looked at that guy at second base, because it's like he slid into second, he got up and he stole third. Maybe the throw was rushed because the guy had such a good jump. So I'm giving the Marlins a little credit there for being a little smarter and a little quicker than the Phillies on their feet and thinking-wise. So the Phillies even need to brush that up. But they're in there grinding every day with Kevin Long in the batting cage, trying to find something, trying to get something to click. And you just hope it does soon, because they're both really crucial players. We know how important adding a right-handed bat was for this team. And right now they're absent 2 right-handed bats because they're just not getting a lot out of those 2 guys. Get them back, get them producing, and it's going to make a world of difference.
Jim, on that, working in the batting cages, is that as micro as just getting ready for tonight's pitcher, or is it something like broader seeking it? Are they taking it day by day? Like, how do they kind of
the big picture? They're preparing for that night's pitcher. They're digging into video. They're digging into old video when they were going good. The staff is doing that. They're making suggestions and tweaks. I mean, we've seen it with Realmuto in the past, where he's adjusted his leg kick a little bit. The hitters are constantly looking at where they were when things were going good and constantly making adjustments and tweaks. And when you make a tweak that might not even be noticeable to us, but when you make a little tweak and they have success from it, that's when confidence can grow. So they're at the point where they're trying anything.
Yeah. My last question, Jim, is you look at a game like last night, and it's no surprise that Miami comes out aggressive because they have nothing to lose. You have a team full of guys that have either been DFA'd or called up from the minors. And then not to mention every team against the Phillies, with how hot they start off the season, is coming out with something to prove and does want to be the team that can beat them and show, that first half of the season was maybe a fluke. And so teams are playing with that extra edge against the Phillies. That's not a surprise to me. What's the surprise, as we keep talking about, is how many guys are struggling right now. But I'm curious your thoughts on who is the most concerning of all the struggling players right now, because we do know history has shown a guy like Bryce, who had a really bad July, for example, he's working through it. You expect Bryce to be okay. Who do you feel like we should be most concerned, whether it's youth, injury, other circumstances with how they are playing right now, that they might not, with 43 games left in the regular season, be able to really work out of this rut?
I could probably give you 5 names. I mean, Stott has struggled all season. It would be really nice to get him going because he would be such an important complementary piece. Kind of hopeful those 2 good at-bats last night might translate a little bit. Ranger to me is a huge concern. You need to see him come back because let's not forget he was struggling before he went on the IL. So you need to see him back and pitching well. Not only for what he can do for you right now in the now, but what he can do for you in October. Turner, just because I think he's so important I think he rubs off on everybody when he's on the bases, creating electricity, when he's sliding into bases and everybody's going ooh and ah. When he's electrifying the top of the lineup or near the top of the lineup and extra base hits and hitting 340, and he's such an exciting player when he's going good, and sometimes his down streaks can last a while. So I think, given his importance to the overall performance of the team, I might be tempted to say he's my biggest concern. Bryce, hasn't, he's tailed off a little bit, but he's still been okay. He'll go on one of his hot streaks before this thing gets going. But Turner, I think if he gets going, it has the ability to rub off on a lot of people. You look at their team's record last year after he got going after that standing O, and they really took off. All of those, Marsh is a concern. He needs to cut down on the strikeouts. Real Muto is a concern. He needs to, they need more from him. They need that right-handed bat. They need such a drop-off after 4 or 5 in the lineup. So all of those guys, they need more from. It's not a one-man game. It's not a one-man game. But if you said, give me one guy to get hot and take my chances on him helping everybody get going or help the team get going, it'd probably be Turner.
Yeah. Jim, what do you mean? The fly balls last night, I think there was like 13 of them. Is that again where you just think it's guys kind of pressing, trying to do too much in the moment? All right, cool.
Trying to hit the ball over the wall instead of hitting the ball through the wall is the difference.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah. If you remember a few years ago that the World Series game, the Red Sox and Dodgers, I think it was 18, and they played that 8. I don't know. I forgot what year it was, but there was an 18-inning game, and it was like fly ball or strikeout, fly ball, because everybody's trying to win with one swing. It looked like last night everybody was trying to solve this team's problems with one swing, and sometimes it starts with a walk. Sometimes it starts with an infield hit. Sometimes it starts with a bloop to right field. So
is that the key to Turner when you talk about the walk? His chase rate out of the zone and low and outside sliders right now is like, it's tough to watch. Is that the key to him? Just getting a walk and maybe forcing some stuff back into the zone, do you think?
It's the key to hitting. Get a good pitch to hit. That's the key to hitting. Get a good pitch to hit. Swing at a good pitch. And that's, what he's got to get back to. It sounds stupid, but it's simple. It sounds simple. Stupid in its simplicity, but, recognize the pitch, get a good pitch to hit, do some damage on it. I believe he will get going. He's a very good baseball player.
So do I.
I believe he will get going. Do you believe he'll get going?
Yes, I do.
I'm just nervous about when. 43 games will fly by. So I don't want them to I don't want this to linger for too long because you do want to be trending in the right direction come playoffs. But I do think he will work out of it. Just nervous.
All right, Jim. So here's the question for you. They have to go 21-22 to reach 90 wins.
Can you believe we're even having that conversation?
Yes, exactly. This is where we are right now.
Like we were talking, are they going to beat the Mariners 116?
Exactly.
100 wins seemed like a given the way they were playing.
They got to go 31-12 to get that.
It tells you what an excruciating sport this is. How it can eat you up mentally and physically. We could see it in their body language walking off the field after the first inning last night, the frustration. You could see it. You could hear it in the stands. I can't believe we're having this conversation whether they're going to get to 90 wins. When 90 wins, seemed like they were going to get that with 3 weeks to go. That would be like 500 ball, right? And they haven't played at that clip in a long time.
That's a real conversation, sadly. Well, thank you, Jim. It's hopefully we'll find fun baseball again here in Philadelphia soon.
It'll get going again, and then there'll be a fresh start getting into the postseason because I know there's a lot of talk about collapses of the past and various teams. It's up to the Phillies of this team to remove themselves from that narrative. 64, the Eagles of last year. The Phillies need to remove themselves from that narrative, so we're not talking about it. So folks at the beach aren't talking about it, and they're not talking about it on the radio and at the sports bar. This team needs to remove themselves from that conversation starting tonight.
Please, let's hope they do. But thank you, Jim, as always, for fantastic insight and work that you do. And like I said last time, hopefully by the next time we're talking, I'm just going to keep saying until it happens. By the next time we talk, things will be better for the Phillies.
Yes, that would be nice. We'll have a more pleasant conversation because Jamie, he gets mean when they start losing. I see him in there.
I know, he's so grouchy.
Well, Jim, my 5-year-old last night said that Trey Turner's struggles are because Merrifield isn't here. So that's inside the mind of a babe.
I've heard the Whit Merrifield curse. It's ridiculous. The Boston Red Sox didn't win a World Series for 86 years, not because they traded Babe Ruth. They didn't win a World Series for 86 years because they didn't play good enough in the big moments, in the big games. I don't believe in curses, but I might be tempted to call the Kansas City Royals and say, hey, make a private phone call in the back room, the equipment man. Hey, you got a Whit Merrifield bobblehead? Have it sent this way and put it in the clubhouse secretly so nobody will see it. See if it turns it around.
I'm in.
I like it. Oh, man. Well, thank you again, Jim. We might have to make that happen to get that bobblehead. Whatever it takes at this point. We'll see you next time.
That's funny. I'm all for it. You got a Whit Merrifield bobblehead. Throw it in there.
Can be done.
It's like Joe Boo.
Yeah.
He can't hit a low and outside breaking ball. Neither can Trey. Get Whit back in the locker room. Let's go.
Whatever needs to be done to get this team back, because it does feel like there's just so many errors, so many areas that need to be fixed. We're trying to bandage it and talk through.
It's depressing baseball is what it is.
It is. And they are. And the biggest thing that we've been talking about that I feel is just the Phillies trying to do too much. Every individual player is trying to win the game in one play. One catch, one at bat, one pitch. And I think that because of the pressure of being so successful to start off the season, they haven't handled it well, quite frankly. It's been so many narratives around this team. Even before they started losing, of course, there were so many narratives around this team's success and trying to figure out ways to discredit it. This is a very good baseball team, but they just have to go out and one pitch at a time, one play at a time, show that. And hopefully tonight they can continue that, as we do have tonight's matchup. No, we do not have the official lineup yet. I've been actively refreshing for the Phillies and refreshing all.
It usually comes out around 2:33. I want to say.
Yeah, exactly. But we do tonight know the starting pitching matchup for the Marlins. It's Edward Cabrera, the right-handed pitcher, is 2-3 on the season with a 5.20 ERA and 68 strikeouts. He did come out of his last game with a no decision Friday against the Padres, and in that game, he actually extended his shutout streak to 12 innings. He was 64 of 106 pitches for strikes, and then the bullpen lost the game. But Cabrera has actually been good on the season so far, and even in the last 7 days alone, he's been good in that 7 innings pitched, 4 Ks, 3 walks, and did well in his last showing against the Padres. For Tyler Phillips, who has a 4-1 record and 4.83 ERA, 23 strikeouts, also a right-hander. Phillips actually looked good in his goodish in his last outing against the Dodgers.
He's keeping you in games.
Much better than we saw against Seattle. Yes, at least kept you in the game in that, and was able to pitch pretty well in his 5 innings pitched, to only give up 6 hits, 4 runs in that game compared to the 8 runs he gave up against Seattle. So it's Tyler Phillips on the mound today for the Phillies against Edward Cabrera, and we are still waiting for the official lineup to see if there's any changes. As we're wrapping up, guys, any changes, do you think? Are we feeling like tonight? I know Rob was mentioning earlier, or post-game, I should say, that, we'll see. We'll see maybe tomorrow night. We'll see. He does seem like he's at least hinting at a change being made. Not sure if he's going to make it as quickly as tonight in the lineup.
What are you waiting for?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, what else do you need to see?
Yeah, I mean, Jim just said it, like what a grind a baseball season is. And right now, like the weather this week, like what's making this harder is that devoting nightly time to them when it's like the end of summer and life's getting chaotic. People are going back to school. The weather's perfect outside. You're trying to crim it. And it's like,
we don't need this right now.
I got to put on the Phillies. If the Phillies were fun, it's a totally different like atmosphere and vibe in the city. But like, yeah, it's tough to get people's attention and get people to buy back in. You're going down tonight. I'm going down on Friday. And it's like, Oh, cool. Going to the Phillies game. Can't wait to be tortured for 9 innings. And that's terrible. And somebody's got to pull him out of it. And, I think it's going to happen, but you got to jolt the lineup. You got to do something different. I don't care if it's a right-handed pitcher tonight. Give me Edmundo Sosa. Give me Weston Wilson over Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott. I know there's some talk, and Gelb wrote about it as well, that Turner could be the one getting sat. I mean, to me, Stott and Marsh are worse and more concerning going forward. I would allow Turner to kind of play his way out of this because he's shown you he can do that. I would start tonight. I don't give a damn that a righty's on the mound.
I would absolutely start tonight. And I actually think I'd be okay with sitting Turner.
I'm fine with anything that's different at this point.
I just have higher expectations for him. And although, I would sit Turner longer. I think I'd sit.
If you're going to sit Turner, I think what Jim said with Jimmy, give him a series off.
Yeah,
not just one night. Give him a series off.
For the series, exactly.
And say, go do some mushrooms in a mud hut.
Especially
and
given
get right again.
The schedule coming up, I would absolutely sit Turner for a few games. I do think Bryson Stott, of the three of them, although it doesn't matter because they all gave you nothing, was the best of the worst last night. So I'm going Sosa tonight, either way. And for Marsh, I'm going Weston Wilson.
Excuse me if I'm not excited that Bryson Stott hit 2 balls
No,
hard.
I'm not.
I know, but I've heard a lot of people Jim just said it. A lot of our Discord said it. Twitter said it.
That's what we're leaning on.
It's like, okay,
fake production.
Great. He flew out hard.
Does it matter how you get out if you get out? No.
I mean, it's good that he hit the ball 99 miles an hour, but I can't. Woo.
No.
I think the one thing that we've learned over the last couple of weeks is
this team is killing me.
Jamie, you'd be a terrible therapist because you just everything. I don't know. Just do ayahuasca in the desert.
Yeah, go do some weird mind altering drugs.
Yeah, everything ends with just like going on some wild.
Yeah, go eat
trip.
some. What is it? The Brazilian frogs. Go trip balls and look at Brazilian frog.
I'm telling you, you'd be an awful therapist. I don't know. Maybe you'd be the greatest therapist.
Yeah, I think I would.
But no, I think that if a change does get made tonight, I think that, to me, I think it's going to be one or the other. I don't think you're going to see both of them out of the lineup tonight, especially with already on the mound. If it were me, my first move would be Brandon Marsh take a seat.
Me too.
Because I understand that you don't take a whole lot of credence into. He hit the ball hard, and he had a couple of productive outs. Well, I shouldn't even say productive outs, but at least his bats look cleaner. I think that a baseball team does and a manager does. I think if you're going to sit one of them tonight, Marsh sits and Stott plays.
That makes sense.
In terms of,
I don't think all three will sit.
No, God,
no.
I'd be shocked.
I don't even think 2 are going to sit. I think it's one of them.
I'm all for, at this point, what's the worst that can happen? You're losing anyways.
Do you want to hear something troubling? Johan Rojas has a higher batting average now than Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh.
Ever since, since
how is that real?
Since Austin Hayes was on the IL last week, Yover has actually been great.
Yeah, Rojas has been really good. Him, Schwarber, and Bowman are your only 3 guys.
He's looked. It's just he shouldn't be, as you mentioned, his numbers shouldn't be better. I know Matt Decker in the chat was making a comment, and I feel like, to be honest, I wasn't going to bring up the Eminem song. Look, if you only had one opportunity.
No.
One shot, one opportunity.
Oh, no, she pulled up the lyrics. Oh, no.
If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment.
I think this is the sign of the end.
Actually, the reason I do, I remember when I was in college, my team was on a winning streak, and then we had a little drop off, and we actually played this song to help reset. They just need something, someone to just kind of reel it all in. Bring it in, guys. Look them in the eyes. Lock in. Let's do this. And I think it does start with a lineup change, and hopefully we actually get one whenever the lineup gets released.
So I'm not actually, as we're winding down here, I'm not going to be with you guys the rest of the week, I just realized.
This is our last time seeing you.
So let's see. They have 1 versus the Marlins and 4 versus the Nationals, correct? So 5 games on the homestand. What is your guess for the 5-game record before they start 13 days of hell? What do you got?
3-2.
You think 3-2? I'm
going to go 3-2.
You think they win tonight?
I do.
So do I. What do you got? 3-2?
For the sake of the city not burning down, I'm going to go. I want to be super. Okay, I'm going to go 3-2 sounds about right. But I could see it being a 2-3. But gosh, I hope it's 3-2.
I'm going to go 2-3.
I could see it being 2-3.
I feel like this team is so weird right now that they'll write themselves versus good teams and not bad teams. I think they win tonight, yeah.
What is this nonsense? I got to be the positive one? This is not how this show works. This is not our dynamic.
Like, I would love for it to be like 4-1.
No,
or
God,
like,
no. God, no.
They're going to go and win every game.
4-1. That's adorable. That's adorable.
Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes Rabbit. Oh, they're going to lose. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, 3-2 I think sounds right. And it's the only choice I can sit on. I know people in the chat are saying their thoughts too.
I'm going 2-3.
The city can't burn down if they go 3-2.
MPTR 4-1.
All right, I like the optimism. Let's hope that it starts tonight. Let's get whatever you guys are going to do. Get out, streak in your underwear, go smoke do some drugs, as Jamie always says. Like, whatever we got to do.
Peyote, ayahuasca, acid, who cares?
I'm not actually encouraging any of that behavior,
Brazilian
to be honest.
frog looking and toad looking.
Let's just do our
tripping
Phillies,
balls.
Our Phillies, like maybe there's a rain dance we got to do, like the version.
Don't
of the
you
rain
say
dance
dancing on my own?
No,
okay,
no,
good.
no. But let's hope. Let's just hope. Wow, my computer's on 1%, and we're gonna make it.
Wow.
Success, just like my fantasy team. On that note, for Tyler, Jamie, myself, Renee, and our buddy Jim, who joined us today, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully, we're talking winning for the Phillies very soon and done talking about the frustrations and all that is currently going wrong from the bullpen and starting pitching to the lack of offense. It will get better, guys. It will get better. We'll be live tomorrow for a post-game show. It actually will be Tyler that'll be driving the show. And then I'll be back with Tyler on Friday since we don't have Jamie. He's going to be away getting ready for some back to school. You get your back to school trip in, which we love.
Yeah, back to reality of full-time dad
Eminem.
care. Yeah, my wife's starting back to school up on Tuesday. Womp womp.
It is so hard to be positive right now, guys. All I got is it's sunny outside and we're breathing. That's it. There you go.
It's a beautiful week.
It is a beautiful day. We're looking for. So I'll be at the Phillies game today, and I hope that we will get a win. See you guys tomorrow for a post-game show here on PHLY Phillies podcast presented by Bet365. Let's go Phillies. Please, please, please get back to winning. See you guys soon.
We all silly.